Hi, everybody. This is Mr. Moyer. I was very happy to kind of create a quick little video here for you that will explain a little bit about what our media literacy camp is. And particularly, we need to start with just kind of what media literacy is to begin with. So that will be one of the first things that we do here. Here we go. So, what is media literacy? Well, as an elementary teacher, one of the things I usually like to do is just kind of start by breaking down the words that are in there. I always love a good dictionary definition. So the first thing is, in media literacy, we'll talk about the word media. And of course, it's kind of cool to know that the word media is the plural form of the word medium. And I don't mean small, medium, large, always a joke I used in science. But actually, this is more like the way something is communicated or the way in which information is given to us. So like I'll use the science example because, we usually talk about how energy is transferred through maybe a solid, liquid, or a gas. So when I'm talking and, somebody's across the room, my cat is across the room right now and he hears me or he ignores me. The sound is traveling from me and through the air in order to get to him. And, from science, if you think about it that way, we think that the medium always has some sort of impact on maybe how well that information is transferred or the way in which that energy is transferred. So, when we're talking about media, in this case, I'm more interested in like the technology, the kinds of things that we get information from, maybe movies or music. They're conveying information or messages or ideas or concepts in a particular way. So that's what we mean by media. So I gave a few examples there, and I think it's kind of interesting to know this is a pretty wide list. Sometimes people talk about old media, and they really mean like television, maybe radio, things like that. And when we talk about new media, maybe we're talking about social media. We're talking about particularly web 2.0 tools like blogging or Twitter, things of that nature, are kind of considered the new way in which we might be gathering lots of information. So that's what we mean by media. And the literacy part is really nothing new to us in schools. We always talk about reading and writing and speaking and listening as well. But these are all ways of like kind of communicating and understanding what's being communicated to us. So our definition of literacy in this case isn't just like the printed material. It actually expands to a lot of different things. So, you might say, well, I'm watching a film, but, in some ways we could say, well, actually you're reading a film, you're getting information from that. And how you might read a film or how you might read music, I guess you could, is very differently than maybe say the reading of print material that you might know of. We use many of the same skills, but actually, because the medium is different, then that information is given to us in a different way. So we need to understand those rules about how that information is maybe given to us. So I'm taking some of this definition of media literacy from a particular book that I really like, and I've quoted it down here at the bottom. But I think it's kind of cool to know that media literacy is kind of a broad range of things. And really, first and foremost, it is a set of skills or knowledge or abilities. And that's what we kind of want to do, think in terms of like being able to read in a different way. We want to enhance that literacy. It also happens to be awareness about like what we personally consume, what media we actually use. So one of the first activities in our media literacy camp is to just kind of do like a media use map of what is being used. What do you enjoy? And that definitely is different for you than say your friends or your family. So an understanding of how media work. That's the whole idea, is that we've got things that are very different. An ebook is maybe different than a printed book, and how do those things work differently? It's definitely an appreciation of the power of the media. It definitely has a strong influence of us. So you think about maybe once we realize how much media we're actually consuming, that's a lot of time. And anytime we spend that much time with things, it's definitely going to have some sort of impact on the way that we view the world, the way we think about ourselves and other people. It's the ability to discern and critically question, and then you consume. So hopefully it isn't just a blind, passive, oh, that was a great movie, I really loved it. But actually kind of take a few moments to really think about it and maybe ask yourself, how did this impact me? It's also an understanding of how meaning is created in the media. sometimes it's very subliminal, or it's not as easy to catch right off the bat. And there's always that message of like, advertising is trying to sell me something, but how is it trying to sell me something? And is it also maybe making a comment about other things? There's a lot to think about maybe in just even a 30-second commercial. It's definitely healthy skepticism, meaning let's really focus on it and not take things just as they are. Let's dig a little deeper. It does mean, access to the media. It's the point of what we study. So let's enjoy it. Let's look at it, and let's not dismiss it. Let's take an opportunity to really kind of put it in the light and say, what's this all about? And the other thing is, we talk a lot about being consumers of media, but also media literacy helps us in order to be actually better producers of media, and especially the way that the internet is very much a participatory kind of culture now. We have lots of opportunity to kind of be adding in our 2 cents. Oftentimes, we're playing video games, but there's some sort of social interaction that's kind of going on there. So, in some ways, we are maybe consuming and producing actually at the same time. So, but media literacy is not just bashing the media. It isn't just saying television is bad. It isn't saying that, the internet's going to rot your brain. It isn't things like that. I think it's being very critical, and I'm really trying to identify what the effects are, and even for ourselves, kind of determining what some of those effects are. It's not really protection against the media. I don't want to put you in a bubble and say, you shouldn't, be watching some of these things. Now, there are some appropriate guidelines, but for the most part, it isn't just locking something away and not giving you access to it, because then you won't be able to understand it very well. Then you've had no experience with it. Definitely not about just television, although there's a long history of research and conversations about how media has impacted us for a long time. And we have lots of new media today, particularly social media. So, it kind of includes all of the above. It's not limited to video production, although sometimes that's again, we talk about producing, not just consuming media. It's definitely not a how-to lesson about media. So it's not like I want to teach you how to use a particular program. It's not like I want to teach you, how you watch a movie. I think it's definitely about how you would approach media a little bit differently. So it isn't just teaching with media. It isn't just we're going to watch a DVD in class rather than have a conversation. This is really about media and how that definitely impacts the kinds of things that we get. So there's a little bit of an overview, I think, of what media literacy is, and hopefully that kind of gives you a good basis kind of moving forward about the kinds of conversations, the things that we really want to talk about in this media literacy camp. Thanks for watching.